Welcome back to the Lost Cause Ranch, and this is another day in the life of a Land Rover hoarder. And I think I definitely fit the definition of a Land Rover hoarder. But no, this is just a little behind the scenes of what happens during the week at the Lost Cause Ranch. The stuff that doesn't make the main videos, you know, like the ones where we're building an LR4 truck. Used to have a lot more of the body on it, kind of like this one. A little bit of a late start to the week because of the Memorial Day holiday, but it is Tuesday morning and we are going to get rid of the X5 finally. As you saw in the last few videos, we took everything off that was worth taking off for us. So soup can time, like always. It'll be nice to tick another box off on getting rid of another one. The next 2 days are going to be a pretty monumental days in the life of the Lost Cause, and I guess perhaps just the life of myself. Past couple weeks have been very interesting. Hopefully by the end of this week we have everything sorted out with the new place, and if not, we'll have to find another new place because I did the correct order and sold the shop before I had the other one locked down. Smart thing, like always. But either way, the big thing of this week is getting more stuff cleared out and kind of off my to-do list, and hopefully have less stuff laying around. That is the ultimate goal. That's ultimately been the goal for the last couple weeks. I need less stuff laying around and I need less stuff to ultimately move. Because one way or another we're moving. I just hope it's to the place I've been planning on. And if we're lucky, by the time this video goes up, I'll have a confirmation on whether or not it will be the place I've been planning on. And if it is, I will let you know. I'm not gonna let you know what the place is until we actually get it, but I'll let you know if we do have everything figured out. It's been just a freaking nightmare. I've never been so stressed out in my life. I've never had to do so much paperwork in my life. I've been used to handling stuff, and stuff really hasn't razzled me too much throughout life. I've done a lot of things, but this one's got me flustered. Here's what it is though. So like I said, this week is mainly about ticking off boxes of stuff that is left hanging to do. This one is no different. We're on a trip in the Range Rover again, down to actually fix that Defender that we looked at last week, bringing down an assortment of freeze plugs, or in Europe, I believe they're called core plugs. We call them freeze plugs because they pop out of the side of the block if you don't have the correct coolant mixture, and it freezes because we can get down to like -20 around here. So wrong coolant mix, these pop out the side once everything becomes a slushy and expands. Hopefully we can take care of this in a quick fashion. Like I said, it's a 300 TDI with a corroded plug in there. It is kind of right above the turbo, right below the intake manifold, so it's tight. I really don't want to pull the turbo off, but we can do that if need be. Just would be easier if we don't have to, obviously. I'm doing it at the customer's house, so obviously we're not going to film anything, but I will let you know how it goes here shortly. And we just made it back. It's always fun working on stuff outside of your element. When you have a shop loaded with all your tools, you get pretty comfortable with all your tools, so when you have to make up a little to-go kit, it just puts you a little out of your element. But no, we got it. We managed to get that new frost plug in there. This one is less rusty. Those are some spares. I brought a few extra just in case we messed one up. Seems to be about like a 50-50 shot when you're pounding them in that you mess them up, especially when you're doing it in limited area. That one was sitting behind the turbo and the starter, so you kind of got to hit it at an angle without taking everything apart. If they're sitting on an engine stand, installing them is super simple. But either way, it is running. We got everything bled out, and we have our tool kit packed back up. So we're gonna unload the Range Rover, clean out our coolant bucket, and continue on. While we were gone, we got a package delivered, and I'm kind of excited to play with this thing. And that is a new scan tool. So I've been kind of looking for an upgrade to the Autel MaxiSys that I use for predominantly everything. This is one that we had at the shop. It's just getting a little outdated. I don't know, it's probably 10 years old or better at this point in time. It is done very well, but it needs to be updated. So instead of spending the money on updating, I was gonna buy a new one. But in the meantime, Top Don reached out asking if I wanted to try one. So let's pop this guy out.
So we got the top down one. That looks pretty fancy. What kind of stuff did we get with it? We got, oh, gloves. You can never have enough gloves. They're probably too big for me. I got tiny girl hands. Then OBD2 cable, and then the Bluetooth vehicle interface. Excited to play with that. Love me some new tools.
In addition to getting a package while we were gone, we also have a couple orders that came through, and we got a package up. We have one already boxed up here, and then we got some BMW parts, LR4 parts. It's always nice to have that when you get back into town. I mean, it's not free money, but it feels like it. All the work was pretty much done in partying it out and listing the parts. So easy things, sending them out and collecting money. As you guys notice, I'm way better at spending money than collecting money, so having some come back in every once in a while is good. For the past couple years, I've ran at a pretty good deficit in this whole operation. About the opposite of what you're supposed to do in business. I really don't think you're supposed to pay to be in business. You expert entrepreneurs out there, let me know if that's the wrong way of doing stuff. Just doesn't feel right. It's pretty hard work for Chet too. And we should probably put some miles on Merlin here, so we'll take this to the post office to drop those guys off. You know, being it's been sitting for 7-8 months. Little exercise won't hurt it. I mean, I probably should have took this down to go fix that Defender because we would have put a couple 100 miles on it and that would have been a good test, but I also didn't want to risk getting stuck on the side of the road when we had something to do. I told the guy I'd be down there, didn't want to risk it. Better off testing it out when we're not supposed to be somewhere. As much as I trust my old Land Rovers, I just don't quite trust them that much. I mean, I am the dumbest person I know. I'm just not that dumb. Some days. Emphasis on some days. Now, paint correction and the exterior detailing is something I really enjoy. It's a therapeutic process. It reminds me of like the same kind of mental high you get, or at least I get while doing like a long run. It's something you lock in and you get to see some progress along the way, and you turn something that's a little hazy into something that shines pretty nice. Unfortunately, I don't get to do it as much as I used to. When we had the dealership, I was doing this all the time. It was one of my favorite things to do. When you have ever-changing inventory and cars coming in to sell and get all recon for that, you're kind of forced to do it. You can't just go find something that you feel is more worth your time at the moment versus like now. Now it's like, oh, I should be working on the LR4 truck, not detailing a car, even though this is also an important thing. But the goofy looking painter's tape is there for a reason. Obviously, otherwise I wouldn't have put it there, but it is to protect the rubber. So if you're compounding a car and you run over the rubber, you're gonna kind of burn it and it'll look off colored from the rest of it. So you just throw a little painter's tape on the edge. That way, in case you run up against it, no harm, no foul, everything's all good. So after we wax it, we'll rip all that off. But it's coming out pretty clean. I'd say this thing looks pretty freaking good. It's always much easier when you start with a nice one, but this thing is now like 30 years old, and just look at the way the paint shines. Tommy sure did get himself a nice one. And what's even better is I think our schedules are finally aligning to where we can get this drop back off to him. Hopefully that is happening here in the next week or so. And on top of that, we might be picking something else up, which is kind of exciting, but you'll have to stay tuned for that. Man, I can't wait for him to get to enjoy this guy. Just such a nice example of a D1. You don't get to see many box stock D1s, especially rust free. 30 years later, they just really don't exist like this. The good old Mini. This thing's been hanging out back for quite some time. It's a friend's Mini. This thing actually broke when I still had the ranch. It decided it needed to ventilate the cylinder block, and you can kind of see the crank, but we don't really see a rod in there anymore. Some of you may remember sometime last year we went ahead and replaced the engine in it for them. So that should have been story ended. But of course not. Not everything can be simple. I've heard better sounding engines. Not all that great sounding in this neck of the woods. So yeah, that was the engine he was sold. It doesn't sound the greatest, although it doesn't really sound like it's in danger of ventilating the block. It sounds more like timing chain issues, which isn't the end of the world, just a new set of chains. But we were under the assumption that this thing was a good running engine, so we didn't worry about doing that. He said he's just gonna come pick it up and decide what to do with it. Being it sounded like that on startup, I just kind of stopped working on it until we decided what to do. So I just need to button up a couple things, including bleeding the clutch, and check everything over just to make sure. And then he's gonna come pick it up, which is good, because that is one more we have cleaned out of here. And being we're on a frickin' roll back here, that one's next. Let's get some stuff rearranged. This will probably be a little bit of an ordeal, being I'm gonna pull it by myself. It's hard to steer this and that at the same time. Jamie was just here grabbing Chet. I probably should have just had her stick around for like 5 minutes and steer the 944, but I didn't. So here we are. Well, that wasn't actually all that bad to get in here, but the 944 turbo is the next one on the chopping block. It kind of saddens me to do this, but I did have it up for sale as a whole for a little bit of time, but it was the single most frustrating thing I have ever listed. So it is a 1986 951, so factory 944 turbo. Now this thing is obviously modified with the exterior and the engine, but these have become a slightly desirable vehicle in the last few years, and I would have took $6,000 for it. It ran and drove. It needed some work. It's been sitting for probably 4 or 5 years, but it's got a larger turbo. I built a custom stainless exhaust manifold and exhaust. We'll show a little more of that once we get it up in the air. But mass airflow conversion, bigger injectors. It had a broad foot wide body kit. It has legit CCW, 17-inch CCW wheels, 17 by 11 in the back, $6,000. Yet no one wanted to come get it. It was almost listed too cheap because I got hundreds and hundreds of messages, but here it sits. So we'll part it out, and I'll probably sell the shell to someone that wants to turn it into a race car, but the sum of the parts are worth way more than $6,000. Like I said, it had a broad foot wide body kit that is already sold. The legit CCW wheels are worth a couple $1,000s on their own. The kit already sold for $1,200. We'll sell the turbo kit. The engines are worth a few $1,000s now. It's got a fresh powder coated auto power roll bar. It's got some nice bits on it. I tried. I did. I legitimately tried to sell it, but we'll get it in the air and take a peek at how crusty it got underneath from sitting. It's kind of funny because when I bought this, it was completely stock, and if I would have left it stock, it'd probably be worth like $15,000 versus $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. But I don't buy my car or keep my car for the next guy. I do it to do what I enjoy. I suggest you do that. I mean, they are a somewhat of an investment vehicle, but it's just more fun
to just do what you want with your own cars and not worry about everyone else. There's a peek at our little stainless manifold. These are kind of nifty because the factory ones cross over and the turbo sits on the same side as the intake. But yeah, we went with a nice equal length stainless to a V-band setup. We got an open dump wastegate. Sounds nasty. All the way over, goes up to a T3, T4 turbo instead of the K26 or whatever it had. We go to a 3-inch downpipe stainless, kind of wraps around, keeps it up nice and tight. Down to the noisemaker. Yes, just a open dump in the back right now. This thing was so much fun when I used it, but nothing lasts forever. I got too many other things to take care of instead of this. All it's gonna do with me is just sit and rot some more. So we'll recoup a little bit of the investment back out of it and turn that into something else. I'm gonna need some cash flow in the next few months, or at least it wouldn't hurt to have additional cushion. So I guess we'll start tearing this one down next. Out of all the ones I've torn down in the last couple months, this one actually pains me to do. But I don't know. Guess it is what it is at this point. May as well make some of the parts useful to other people and get some life out of it. Does no good sitting here. But that will do it for a day in the life of a Land Rover hoarder here at the Lost Cause Ranch. I think we got a fair amount accomplished, at least it felt like it, but I am pretty defeated feeling at this point in time. Kind of feel like you guys are my therapists anymore. I get to kind of talk to you about everything. I've spent probably 6, 7, 8 hours on the phone the last 2 days dealing with building stuff, and unfortunately I thought by the end of this video I'd be able to tell you whether I had a confirmation that we have the new place figured out, but I don't. I'm going to have that settled by the end of today, which will be after the video goes up. So I'll let you know one way or another on Sunday's video, but I am just freaking exhausted and coming off a week of being sick. I'm mentally wore out. I'm still having fun, but I'm wore out. But either way, the Mini and the 944 will be out of here fairly soon. We're knocking stuff out. I'm actually in a good mood. I'm just tired. So with that being said, appreciate you guys watching, appreciate you subscribing, and we will catch you on Sunday. Maybe Land Rover truck stuff, or you know what? It might be time to do something with the lightweight.